Hello and welcome to CATSweek. I'm Annalise Poorman. On February 2nd, the Monroe County Election Board voted unanimously to adopt new guidelines for managing late filing fines equitably. The ordinance changes the way the election office will handle campaign finance policy, procedure, and guidelines moving forward. This ordinance comes after months of discussion on the amount of work election supervisor Karen Wheeler has had to put into getting candidates to file their CFA 4 filings on time or to come to the election board meetings to submit their reasons for being late.
We had this discussion of multiple times, but we brought it to the attention of the board in January. It's already February, that's crazy. In February for official action, and here we are. We've circulated some drafts with the agendas and want to open that up for discussion and perhaps a motion to approve any sort of updated procedure with any amendments to the drafts.
County Clerk Nicole Brown said that she supported the ordinance and shared that she reviewed the Marion County Election Board's procedure.
What I'll say first is I appreciate the proposed draft. As indicated in previous meetings, I feel that we've gone above and beyond trying to help candidates be aware. And now we just kind of need to revamp some things, I think. I had an opportunity to review the Marion County Election Board minutes and how they assess their fines. And so I really like this proposed draft, which takes us from 4 offenses down to 3. The notification to the candidates the first time, that's clearly, here you are, you were late. We don't want to discourage anybody from running, and then beginning to implement a fraction of the fine with the second offense, and finally the third offense, kind of the 3 strikes and you're out rule. So I am certainly in favor of this proposal.
Board Chair Donovan Garlitz outlined what the current procedure is and how it would change.
Our current procedure is that the first and second offense of being late for CFAs have no penalty, no monetary penalty. Third offense is 25% of the statute defined penalty, and then after that it's 100%. The proposal basically adds to our procedure the fact that we will be with candidate packets, notifying every candidate of the policy in writing so that they have that as soon as they file, or as soon as the election office gives out that packet, I should say. And then we're simply moving up the current offenses to basically get away from that second offense, no penalty. So first offense would be notification. We will also notify candidates in a public meeting. We will name them in a public meeting so that they are also put on notice that way. And any additional communication or notification on that matter will be the responsibility of the party chairs. We had a brief discussion last meeting that, or I don't know if it was a discussion, it was certainly my opinion and my comment that I don't think that should be the responsibility of the election office or of the clerk, because I just think that's above and beyond the scope of what they should be doing, and it's undue burden on them in the thousands of things that they already do. So party chairs, second offense, 50% of the statutory max, which is $1,000 per day. Is $50 per day up to $1,000 maximum. And then third offense is 100% of the statutory max, which is $50 a day, up to $1,000 maximum. And then the last kind of note that we have is candidates and their committees should pay the fines in full or dispute them at a regularly scheduled meeting of the Monroe County Election Board. And that is what we already do. So.
Board member David Henry recommended that they implement the changes after the primary season of 2023. The ordinance, along with the amendment, was approved with a 3-0 vote. At the Monroe County Commissioners meeting on February 1st, Health Department Director Lori Kelly gave an update on COVID-19 rates in the community and shared that the food inspection reports will be posted online on the Health Department's website.
Just a few updates. Monroe County is in the low community level for COVID. Cases and hospitalizations continue to fall in the U.S. XBB 1.5 still remains to be the primary circulating variant. And the health department is currently working on getting food inspection reports posted on the website. We hope to complete this process by the end of the week.
Sheriff Ruben Marte and his chief deputy, Phil Parker, gave an update on cleaning up the jail.
The cleaning and sanitation of the jail is moving along nicely. We've got, I say we're ahead of schedule on what we're trying to accomplish. We're having a meeting tomorrow to kind of finalize those with the stakeholders and interested parties to kind of finalize those plans and the cost of those plans. So the update is very short, very brief. We're moving rapidly, and we should have some finalized plans laid in on how that will look going forward, that we can be able to come and announce and talk to people about what that really means and what the cost of that is. And I think when we do that, it's going to be, I think it's going to be pleasantly surprising for what we can accomplish, and how quickly we can accomplish it. And I think the cost of that there may have been some fears about the cost of that, and I think it's going to be a lot more palatable than most people think. So I'm not trying to be mystic here, but we just don't have all those numbers in.
Later, the commissioners discussed an amendment to alter the makeup of the Monroe County Community Justice Response Committee. The ordinance would change the membership from 14 members to 13, place all the county commissioners on the committee, reduce the number of Board of Judges appointments, replace the Health Department member with the Chief Probation Officer, and change a his/her pronoun designation to they/them. Commissioners Administration Angela Purdy asked the commissioners for some clarifications on the ordinance.
I want to, first of all, ask for some clarification. You're requesting ratification of the proposal that you had previously approved during a work session. Since that time, there's been conversation with the presiding judge, who has made the specific request that the judges be at the number of 2, and has also requested that probation not be part of the committee or the commission, because they work for the Board of Judges, and it puts, it's redundant, and as per the presiding judge requests, there is and is included in our packet today. There is the agreement that shows that this committee would be reduced to actually 12 members, and there would need to be the addition of language under 457-2, Section C, when it references the presiding judge. It should indicate or his/her designee. And also item H would be is struck out, which includes the Monroe County Chief Probation Officer. This document is, as I said, is in your packet today, and it represents the request as it's understood by me from the presiding judge.
Commissioner Julie Thomas noted that they are honoring the request of the presiding judge on the committee.
No, I think I do want to highlight something that Ms. Purdy alluded to, and that's the fact that the presiding judge has supported 2 judges being on this committee and has asked to exclude probation, and we're honoring her request.
During public comment on the ordinance, Monroe County resident Seth Muchler shared that he feels like the decisions have not been as collaborative as he would have liked.
I just sort of feel like these decisions, from my perspective, are being made from a very top-down sort of approach. And I understand you as the commissioners have the authority to make changes to this committee and to this advisory group. But I just think about the ways in which in my personal and professional life, if I was serving on a group and if I had concerns about the way that that group was moving, I'm going to hear from you that you were concerned about the pace at which it is going, and you were concerned that you were worried it is being bogged down by bureaucracy of having too large of a group, even though we're only netting, reducing by 2 members with these changes. I mean, if I was in that situation, I would go to the people with who I work and say, okay, here are my concerns, let's talk about them, and let's, as a group, as a collaborative organization, figure out the best way forward.
Monroe County resident Natalia Galvin also spoke during public comment and expressed disappointment that the city of Bloomington was not included in the ordinance.
I'm here to express my extreme disappointment with the removal of the judicial voices, the removal of the health department voices, and what's not on here, the refusal to add city voices to the composition of the CJRC. I believe it is incongruent to see Commissioner President Giffen celebrating Indiana Public Health at the State House last week, and Commissioner Thomas serve on the Community Voices for Health Advisory Board, yet call for the removal of a Department of Health voice on the CAJRC today. Furthermore, community organizations, electeds, and residents have been calling for the addition of City Council and administration voices at the CJRC table for months. We have reached out to commissioners in meetings, private discussions, etc. By excluding City Council and administrative appointments, residents are being cheated out of land opportunities, transit conversations, and more. Just last week at the City Council meeting, it was suggested that land might be available at Hopewell. The commissioner's unwillingness to collaborate with the city will force residents to pressure Monroe County Council representatives to pledge not to fund any future capital project regarding the jail unless city appointments are made to the CJRC.
Commissioner Julie Thomas responded, explaining why the health department member was removed and why city representation was not added.
I just want to add that the reason health was removed, and it was with Ms. Kelly's knowledge and understanding, is because the time is not ripe yet to have health involved, and she has so many things going on. So there's certainly no slight involved there at all. The other point, and it relates to that, is this continued call for city representation. And first, I will note that members of county government represent city residents because the city's within the county. And so it underscores a myth that somehow we don't represent city residents, and while we do. And I think the second and most important point is, indeed, we are going to be reaching out to the city extensively, but the time is not right. It's not the moment to do that yet. And so everybody can attend, everybody can share their voices and their concerns and offer public comment, and that's what we need. And but we need to move forward. Somebody used the word urgency. The more people on this committee, the less we get done. And at this point, I think this is about expediency while also being transparent and involving the public every step of the way.
Commissioner Penny Githens added that if the Hopewell property is available, they would like to work with the city on that. However, she said that no one has come to them about the matter. The commissioners voted unanimously to approve the ordinance. And we'll have more CATSweek after this message.
I'm at risk of thinking there's just no point in trying. I'm at risk of looking in the mirror and hating what I see.
I'm at risk of regretting what I do, just to join the crowd.
I'm at risk of being told not to tell. And you would never know it by looking at me. But with Girls Inc. in my corner, there for me every day, believing in me,
Showing me what's possible,
I can be strong enough to respect myself and my body. To say I can rather than I can't.
to say no with no apology,
To be a leader. To finish school.
to own my future.
To break the cycle.
Girls Inc. believes every girl can succeed. That's why the trained professionals of Girls Inc. are there for our girls every day, supporting, mentoring, and guiding them in a safe, girls-only environment. Building bonds that last for years and change that lasts a lifetime. Girls Inc. gives girls the tools they need to boldly face challenges, to resist peer pressure, to be the first in their families to go to college, to beat the odds. With Girls Inc. in her corner, every girl can be healthy, confident, and resilient. She'll do more than dream about her potential. She'll reach it.
With you in my corner. With you in my corner, I will not be another statistic. I will fight for myself.
For my future.
With you in my corner, I will win.
Fuel her fire and she will change the world. Girls Inc. Inspiring all girls to be strong, smart, and bold.
Welcome back to CATSweek. On February 1st, at the Bloomington City Council meeting, Councilmember Jim Sims shared upcoming events that the city is hosting in honor of Black History Month.
My report this evening is today is the first day of Black History Month. I would be remiss not to say that, of course, it's the shortest month of the year, but that's another conversation for another day. But what I really want to do is recognize the city and what we're doing to recognize and make more people in the community more included and just feel more welcome in our town. The city has committed resources along with other community organizations and individuals. And besides the mayor's input and the mayor's office, actually Ms. Beverly Callender Anderson, who is the director of the Community and Family Resources Department, and one of her staff, Ms. Shatoya Moss, who's the Safe and Civil City Director, are the engines that's driving this month-long celebration. Wished I'd have saw many of you more at the kickoff, but that's okay. There's a lot of things happening this month, and you can find a lot of those, or a list of those full activities online, and it's at bloomington.im.gov/BHM. bloomington.in.gov/BHM. Now this month's what's the word I'm looking for? Theme. I'm sorry, I lost the word for a second. This month's theme is called Black Innovation. And if you look at our display case out in the hallway on your way out, if you didn't see it on your way in, take a look at that. It has a display of some of our Black Americans and some of their inventions that has been over the course of a lifetime. There's patents. There's many of the things that some of you may not even think that were invented by Black people. But it's important, I think, to educate folks on those contributions to society. I think long-term, that'll do a lot to take care of some of the systemic, now not all, but some of the systemic issues that we face because we just know more about each other. And I think that's very, very important. So If you look it up online, I hope we see many of you in other events throughout the month. It was a great kickoff the other day, a great keynote speaker, a great musical group. So I just want you to enjoy. Get to know someone that you didn't know when you walked into that event, and that'll make this a much, much better community. So thank you.
Next, the council appointed new members to commissions and debated removing Greg Alexander from the Traffic Commission. Councilmember Dave Rollo introduced the ordinance.
I move that Greg Alexander be removed from the Traffic Commission for the following cause: for posting obscene and inappropriate statements, including statements directed at and antagonizing members of the public that are unbecoming of an appointed member of a public body, which have diminished Mr. Alexander's ability and fitness to be an effective member of the Traffic Commission and to represent the best interests of the city.
Council member Steve Volan said that the motion should be referred to the Special Committee on Council Processes to solicit a recommendation on how to move forward before a council meeting in March. Volan explained his rationale.
I think that I know that this is unprecedented. We have never removed someone from a commission for cause in the time that I've been on council. We have no process for it. The reason for the motion, I'm presuming, is controversial statements made by the member of the body in question. We've heard public testimony tonight from a couple of people who were referring to this motion. I don't even know where to begin with how problematic this action is. There's a very poor understanding of the terms for cause. The action, I believe, is extremely political. There's a difference between words that should be censured and statements that are political critiques. I believe that some kind of censure is in order, that members of boards and commissions need to understand that it's not okay to personally insult people if they are representing the public on a board or commission. But I would also point out that Mr. Alexander has always been a fierce critic of transportation policy. He is a fierce critic of the Elm Heights neighborhood having gotten benefit for or more attention than most neighborhoods do, including his neighborhoods. He's a fierce critic of Councilman Barallo, who made the motion, who allowed Elm Heights to have an unprecedented access to this body, to have a member of the public present for an indefinite period on this topic. It's not a privilege that's been accorded to any other person. The member who seconded this motion was the president at the time and allowed that process. This is a matter of process.
The motion passed unanimously to refer the incident to the Special Committee on Council Processes. The council will hear the committee's recommendation at their meeting on March 1st. And we'll have more Cats Week after this message.
For hurting families in Monroe County.
A contribution to children who are vulnerable and in need of an advocate.
A staff that goes above and beyond to support and advocate for children in need of services.
The web of remarkable people who are dealing with difficult situations.
So many young people that are in need of help and trying to find a stable family, a stable place to live. Without the CASAs to make that happen, many of them would be unable to find a good home.
I love being that voice for the child who can't speak for themselves in court.
It takes me out of my comfort zone, and it also helps others.
CASA means supporting our community.
Being a CASA is making sure that your village is healthy and whole, and that the children in your village will someday be able to help the village as well.
A child who doesn't have a voice, maybe in their family situation or a school situation, now has a voice that can advocate for them.
I really enjoy working with children that are going through difficult times and letting them know that I care about their future.
We are privileged
with our charge of representing the best interest of children. And so therefore we can advocate for exactly what they need without restriction, focusing on their best interest.
I want to repair the world one child at a time.
Welcome back to CATSweek. On January 31st, at the Bloomington Board of Public Works meeting, engineering field specialist Paul Kerberg presented a request from Duke Energy for a lane closure from February 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2023.
Duke Energy is moving forward with construction of Phase 3 of the reliability project in Bloomington. Overall, the project is to install new transmission lines to connect the substation up at North Rogers Street and 11th to the substation on South Rogers near Switchyard. Crews will be upgrading sections of distribution lines also along this route, and the work is planned for February 1st through June 30th, 2023. This will include lane closures and a few full street closures as they work through the project. Duke has been doing a lot of outreach ahead of this project, and then we've also had several meetings with representatives from Duke to make sure this project goes smoothly.
Board member Elizabeth Karen asked to make sure they were in contact with MCCSC since the closure would go past Fairview Elementary School. Kerberg said that they had been in communication. Board member Kyla Cox-Deckard asked if there would be any associated sidewalk closures. Kerberg replied,
On Morton and Madison Streets, are there any sidewalk issues there, or is it primarily the road?
It will primarily be the road, and then we've also worked with Tim Street from Parks and Rec on the B line along Morton down there, and the B line will remain open. And then they're trying not to close any sidewalks unless there's an overhead risk, and then they'll have crews on site to help with that.
The board approved the request unanimously. At the Utilities Service Board meeting on January 30th, Capital Project Manager Dan Hudson announced that they will be opening bids for the East Tank Water Tower Rehabilitation Project. Hudson said that the project received 13 bids.
I'm happy to have a bid opening. We had a lot of interest in this project. This is for the East Tank Water Tower located on 444, just south of 44 on the west side of the road. It includes repainting, recoating, adding stiffeners to the top, a new ladder that meets OSHA regs. I believe there's some electrical work, small amount of electrical work, and a new mixer put in. So it's a total rehab of the tank.
Hudson said that the engineering estimate for the project was $1,098,900.00. Utilities engineer Phil Peden opened the bids. Hudson remarked that there was a wide price range and said the staff would come back to the board with their recommendation at the next meeting. And that is all for CATSweek. Thank you for joining us. For CATS and WFHB, I'm Annalise Poorman.